tuned in. We've just seen that Giants will make their way to the winners final tomorrow after winning in their first game. But now we have our next best of 5 coming up. But first, I'd like to introduce the new person we have here on the desk. It is Marcel Dexter Veldkamp.
Hello.
Welcome.
The fishes got a lot prettier all of a sudden. Oh.
Nicer shirt too, actually. No, just kidding, of course. And Crepo is still by my side as we will be going into our next best of 5 of the day. Let's actually take a look at the bracket to see where we are here today. We saw earlier on the victory for Giants, and now we will see in faculty as they take on H2K Gaming. Well, it was a very convincing win. It was a 3-0 for Giants. Maybe preliminary thoughts. Is it going to be that easy for one of the two teams here? Is there one that clearly has the advantage?
In H2K was in faculty. I think we will see another 3-0 maybe. But if history repeats itself, then we might as well see a 3-0 for in faculty, because H2K has a tendency to just tilt in general on LAN. They don't perform, they don't show up. But yeah, I can see them winning this game actually fairly convincingly.
Yeah, it's become more of a running joke already, even within the team itself of H2K, that they call themselves choke boys or tilters on LAN, etc. But I talked to them earlier. I was like, hey, you guys are feeling confident? Because I meet a lot of these guys in solo queue, and they're all really good players. They've shown great promise in the online part of the tournament, so they just have to show up on this offline environment and just basically play how they have been playing so far. And they said, yeah, we're confident, but we've been confident twice before, so we don't want to make that same mistake. But it's looking like it's very likely that it's going to be 3-0 either 3-1, because N faculty isn't looking all that strong.
All right, let's actually take a look at the rosters for both teams to see if there's any key players that really stuck out for us. Let's take a look at the H2K roster coming up first, as we have in the top lane Odoamne, we have Lulex, we have Febevin, Hjarnan, and Voidal. It is a roster that we know very well. A lot of players have played a lot. Who for you is the one that stands out, Scrappo?
I think 3 of their players, Odoamne, Lulex, and Febevin, can all solo carry a game. Just if they get their comfort chance, if Febevin gets his Jace, if Lulex gets his Lee Sin rolling, Odoamne plays one of the first few players in Europe or even like the West that played Gnar. Yeah. He brought that over to America when he started scrimming there and convinced even us to that Gnar is a good champion. And look now, 2 months later, 3 months later, he's one of the top picks. So one of these 3 players can decide a game at any point.
Yeah, I completely agree with Crepo here, and I think Febevin is super talented. He's like one of the most promising mid laners coming up into this tournament, and he's been building himself like quite a hype. I mean, he has 3 accounts in the Challenger, top 10 right now, and yeah, his set is Ahri, and Jace is like super good. I played a lot of solo queue against him, and I think he's like the key player. If he gets going, if he gets this 1 kill in lane, then can actually snowball the entire game for themselves. And Lulex, I mean, he doesn't have that much experience, and as a jungler, I think he's very good on Lee Sin, but I'm not sure how good he is on other champions, because Lee Sin is always his go-to pick. But I mean, he subbed for Gambit, he did fairly okay there, and I think if both of them can kind of find that synergy and get the first kill, it will bring a lot of momentum into the series. And if they don't lose the first game, then I can see them actually winning the series like 3-0. And if they lose the first game, we could actually see a 0-3-2, because they're very tilty. Like, yeah.
So for H2K, really have to get off to a good start. Well, let's take a look at their opponent's roster coming up now. And faculty within the top lane, Zazes. Then we have obvious Sauce Perfect. I don't really know how to pronounce it yet. Well, I bet we'll find out. Cedrian and the Mountain, a German bot lane coming in there. Do you know them? Have you played against them often?
I mean, yeah, you know them from solo queue, obviously. I mean, nothing special, but I think the main focus is on other players in their team. I think their jungler, Obvious, is like a really promising jungler, and he showed some signs of brilliance in solo queue. And Sjokz, I mean, we all know him. He's like one of the most innovating top laners, I think, in Europe. He was the first who played Maokai, Alistar, and all those picks when he was in Rocket. So I think it really relies on him to like bring some veteran status or like experience from the whole LCS thing into the series, and maybe they can take them out. Yeah. Also, their mid laner, I think, is fairly like good and could go 1-to-1 against Febevin.
It seems like a lot here is also hinging on how they can start the series, and then hoping that Zazes, with his experience, might be able to pull him forward. Any more thoughts on Zaris? We know that in LCS sometimes he wasn't super aggressive, and we've seen that here in the beginning of the expansion series as well. Sometimes when he was on Kassadin, he just didn't really go for it.
Yeah, well, I hope the veteran status of some of these players will translate in a better strategy. Knowing that H2K has not always been too stable of a team mentality-wise, Do you think in faculty, or maybe a faculty, will just use that level 1 creatively, shift a lot of power on unusual people? We saw the Jax taking Raptors, Wolves later. We've seen bot lanes do Krugs or Gromp. I wonder if in faculty come out swinging with something prepared to throw H2K off their game and try to ride that momentum. I feel it's necessary, because otherwise I feel the new H2K lineup, they have better coaching as well. They brought in over Broken Shard and Prawley from State, so they have been investing into more of an LCS-esque infrastructure, and they're ready to go to get into the LCS right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, Broken Shard has been managing, coaching quite a few teams by now, and even Prawley. So they have really good coaching stuff for them. And if it helped them out into this kind of mentality of like, yeah, we have to actually focus on the game, even if we're behind, we can still do this. So maybe he helped them out there. So I'm actually looking forward to see what effect it actually had, like coaching stuff on them as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. And on the side of faculty, they've played in the studio actually many times. They just didn't win the recent finals of EPS, but they have played here and they played finals here a lot of the time. So maybe that will be aiding them.
Maybe, yeah.
At the same time, though, they did lose their EPS finals a couple of days before, and now you're trying to get into the LCS, which technically will be for like the best teams in Europe, and it doesn't
maybe it was
bode too well.
stress already then.
Or maybe they're just throwing a curveball and they're throwing us off our game by throwing that game on purpose and making H2K feel overconfident. We don't know, but we'll have to see in the game.
It's the mind games. We will see how it plays out. But for now, we're going to go over to our casters for that game 1.